Hello and welcome to the Broken Record podcast with me, your average, not awkward host, Roman. With me as always is my cooler co-host.
Yeah, I'm Logan. I'm the cooler one, but what do you mean you're less awkward? Are you getting more comfortable doing this?
I'm getting completely more comfortable with this, considering we've got a bit of a lid on the format of how we're going to record now, so I feel a bit better.
I mean, not at all, but we'll get there. We'll get there soon.
Oh wait, I've already ruined it because wasn't I meant to come up with a new? Oh, with me as always is my blank co-host. Like wasn't there going to be interchangeable adjectives?
See that? He says he's got the formula, and right away he ruins the formula. I can't believe this.
Well, I said format, not formula. You know, we need to cook this podcast a bit longer to get the formula under wraps. It's like the Krabby Patty secret formula.
What? Do you know what that formula actually is?
Yes, it's probably fish.
It's I think they said it was 99% plankton. So.
Oh damn, that's awkward.
A little bit, yeah. Anyway, we're not here to talk about SpongeBob. What are we here to talk about today, Roman?
Well, I was about to obnoxiously shout, but let's talk about DC films. But I'm really not as enthusiastic as that fake shout implies.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, why don't you announce it in the exact tone of voice that you feel?
Okay. Me and Logan are going to talk about the films that exist in the quote-unquote DC Extended Universe.
Yay! Now, do you want to just cover the do you want to cover the DC universe, or do you want to talk about DC as a whole? Because I could give you so much about Supergirl, 1984, cinematic masterpiece.
Oh wow! Okay. Well, how about we talk about? I mean, you know, do you want to start with the DCEU, or do you want to start with just DC making films in general, or do you? I mean, you know, you can take the lead on this. I kind of took the lead on Terminator, so you know, you can take the lead on this one.
How about we start with the start and make our way forwards in time? Whoa!
How about we start from the end and make our way backwards through the DC films?
Yeah, why not? Okay, yeah, we'll be refreshed with the newer stuff. Let's do it.
Yeah,
cool.
That'll be really interesting because, okay, so does that mean we should start with the future ones because they're the better ones that we're more excited about?
Nah, but we haven't seen them yet, Roman.
I know. Okay, fine. Should we start with the most recent one, Justice League?
I mean, if you have things to say about the upcoming ones, you're more than welcome to. See, I'm just sabotaging the podcast early on.
Well, I don't, because we already covered it in the news. So, Justice League, what a disposable fun ride of a mess with no vision and no actual proper, like, tonal consistency or character consistency or universal consistency. And that's about all I have to say about Justice League.
No vision? Are you sure it didn't have any vision? I think it had a very clear vision. It just didn't know which vision it wanted to go for. It was just all over the place. I don't know.
So it didn't have a clear vision then, did it? It had maybe two clear visions that made one blurry vision.
I mean, you have the vision of the guy who brought us Watchmen, and that's a vision. And you got the guy who brought us the Avengers, and that's a very, very, very different vision. Doesn't really blend.
Oh my god, I never even considered that Justice League is the product of the guy who directed Watchmen and the guy who directed the Avengers just mashed together in a stupid meh.
And it works about as well as it sounds.
Yeah, to be fair, Justice League is pretty decent in terms of scenes. Like, it's got scenes that are exciting because...
It's fun enough. It just looks really, really, really rushed, which, of course, it was for the producers' paychecks.
Yeah, but do you know what's weird? Like, I'd say Avengers 2 was more rushed, and yet it seems better.
Oh, 100%. See, the one thing that stands out to me about Justice League is exactly what it is, in that it was shot to have the same look, feel, tone, and color palette as Batman vs Superman because they started shooting Justice League like 2 months after that or something ridiculous.
Okay.
But they took that footage and the cameras and that initial edit and they did the color grading, and honest to God, in my opinion, it looks like I did that color grading. That's how bad it looks. It looks so overly saturated in a really weird way, and the colors, it looks fake. It looks amateurish. The color grading.
You know what's really funny? About 5 years ago, would you have would you have said, "Oh, this DC film is so oversaturated in color. I hate it."
Never in my life. If you told me when I was watching Man of Steel that I'd say that these movies are overly saturated, I'd be like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong there.
You're wrong. You need to shut the hell up because you're wrong. Because I think someone did a video when they were talking about, I think, the color grading in Marvel films, but they referenced that Superman in Man of Steel has the same skin tone color palette as a dead body from CSI.
Wow. Yeah,
which is really saying something.
If you looked up the color grading in Justice League, it looks. I don't have a word for it. It just makes everything look fake. It doesn't help the green screening. That's for damn sure. It's.
That's for sure. It makes everything look CGI. And by the way, can we just talk about why is Cyborg so fake?
Because he's a robot.
Like, what year did Age of Ultron come out?
2015.
And,
2 years earlier.
And how many years earlier?
2 years earlier.
And yet Ultron looks more believable as metal than Cyborg does. And I'll be honest, Ultron wasn't perfect. Ultron didn't look finished.
I mean, did you not see that behind the scenes video of it where he's literally just. He's not even in like a mocap suit. He's just kind of in some pajamas with half a mask on, and it looks really awkward.
Is it like, has he got half a green morph suit on?
You'd think so, but no, he's just got some pajamas on and a big flashing light in his chest, and I'm just like, how is anybody taking any of this seriously? I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be perfectly honest, I've only seen Justice League in scene format, because, I mean, I'm someone that's very swayed by reviewers that have a similar opinion to me on film, so if they hate it, odds are I'm not going to waste my time with it. Also, I'm not paying to watch any more DC films. I've given enough bloody money to them, and they don't deserve it. And the only way they're going to listen to people is if we stop giving them money.
Wow, you're preaching. Is that going to include Shazam as well when that comes out?
Well, okay. I didn't pay to watch Justice League, even though I didn't watch it properly either. Mm-hmm. I didn't pay to watch BVS, but I did pay to watch Man of Steel and Suicide Squad. And I didn't pay to watch Wonder Woman. I watched it on, someone had it on DVD, and I watched it that way. And that, even though that was good, I'm still glad I'm not giving money to this company, because, directors that make a good film, I'll watch your film. I'll watch your film if I'm interested in you as a creator. But I'm not giving money to the company that's making you make these films, because they don't care.
That's fair.
You care, but they don't care.
You're not interested in watching a film that's done by committee.
Exactly, but not just done by committee. I'm tired of watching a franchise that should be amazing, but is literally just trying to distinguish itself by being so different to its competitor Marvel, that it's hurting the franchise.
I mean, you got to remember, Superman and Batman are the OG. They were from the 30s. They are.
I know,
some of the most recognizable characters in fiction right now in the
literally off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure that BVS made 100 million less than Man of Steel, and it had Batman in it, the most profitable character ever.
I am very sure it made less than Deadpool, so it's
Deadpool's R-rated.
We live in a world where that's a thing.
Yeah, that is a thing, and you know what? What's annoying is they have good moments. And you know what? Joss Whedon's humor, his humor is all over Justice League, but it doesn't make sense with the tone. It doesn't fit in
at all. Actually,
there's a bit in Justice League where the scene opens and you see that Wonder Woman has tied her lasso of truth around some goons and she's talking to the police, and I'm like, that's funny visually, and it looks good from it would be good in a cartoon, but this is literally a universe where like Batman was murdering people. Like,
Well,
I don't.
was there anything you did like, or anything that you felt had a lot of potential within those 2 hours?
I liked when Superman came back and they all were trying to fight him and they couldn't stop him and he was kind of psycho for 2 minutes. And I liked that the music was the original Superman theme, but
Yeah, and they also brought in
that's about it.
And they also brought in the '89 Batman theme later on as well. A little bit.
I didn't even notice that. I probably didn't even watch that bit, so I'll look it up after.
Which, I know, which is kind of strange, because it's like, yes, Danny Elfman will score Justice League, and he just kind of looks in his back pocket and goes, there's a Batman score from 30 years ago, that'll do. I'm just like, alright, okay.
But also, I just also want to say, isn't it really telling that our favourite parts, like, are kind of musical renditions of older versions of better DC films that aren't current?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even fit the tone of this character. It's just...
And oh my god, like, I mean, I know what they're trying to do with The Flash, and I know what they're trying to do with Aquaman in that film, but, again, they both don't feel like they're part of that universe.
Oh, I actually think they're the best parts of the film, Flash and Aquaman. I actually find them very entertaining.
I agree somewhat, but they don't feel like they're part of this universe that was made.
Oh no!
You know.
If you told me like the Flash when he's like quipping about the Batmobile or whatever or the Bat Signal, he's a guy that lives in the BVS universe, I'd be like, okay, he's the most mentally challenged if he lives in this universe. But it's just.
Yeah, he just kind of like not in an offensive way, but he does kind of have an autistic vibe to him as a character.
So. I thought so. If not like, ADD,
and you're allowed to say
because he can't focus. Well, he can't focus on anything, and he's like really socially awkward. So I was just like,
yeah, maybe he has ADHD or something.
It's an interesting angle to take, and it makes sense that he.
But the thing is, do you think that's what they were going for, or do you think that's what Ezra Miller was pushing?
I'd lean that a lot more on Ezra Miller than I would anyone else.
Same.
Ezra Miller can do I'm awkward but endearing really well if he's not in a Harry Potter film. So it's,
I much prefer him with indie directors than with big blockbuster directors because I've yet to see him in a big scale film that I genuinely like. I mean, he's got some moments as the Flash, but like as someone like okay, my mum is pretty big on the Flash TV show, and Grant Gustin, who plays Barry Allen in that, I think is a really good on-screen Barry Allen. Like, he's really likable.
Yeah,
he's
very
really,
charismatic,
and he's got the kind of whimsical thing that say, you know what, like a Spielberg or a Brad Bird or one of them could direct a Flash movie pretty well, and I just didn't see that with Ezra Miller. I just saw teen trying to be funny. I basically saw teen Tony Stark. That's fast.
Oh, sure. Just a lot less cool. Yeah. And
And
if what's circulating that Robert Zemeckis is doing a Flash film, that's Robert Zemeckis doing Ezra Miller's Flash, and that just sounds kind of odd to me. I don't know what that'd even be like.
I don't know, because it's a bit ridiculous that the first Flash film they're going to ever make is Flashpoint. Because nothing says, hey, let's introduce you this character. Then hey, here's 50 billion versions of this character across different universes.
You save that for like film 4 or late film 3 or something. You don't start out with that.
I mean, look, we got a whole Spider-Man trilogy, a failed attempt at another Spider-Man franchise that got 2 installments in, and now we're 2 appearances of a new version of Spider-Man in a film medium before we even touched the Spider-Verse, and even then it's in animated form.
I mean, they're doing Flashpoint because they want to future past it easily. That's literally the sole reason why they're doing it, but it's just not going to be handled well.
I mean, you know what? I would love to believe that, and I think they're probably going to do that now. But I guarantee that was not what they were planning to do when they greenlit Flashpoint.
You don't think? Because originally it was just greenlit as The Flash, and then post-BVS it became Flashpoint.
Oh, okay, well, if it's post-BVS, then, I think it was on the cards. But I think they were waiting to see how Suicide Squad launched with audiences and how, Justice League was going to launch with audiences before hitting that hard reset, like Days of Future Past reset.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure, sure, sure.
Like they were the because they were the ones that it was like, oh, DC are the first one to make a film based on the villains, and oh my god, like DC are doing the Justice League finally, and it's like, you know, if they were planning to do a hard reset that early on, they wouldn't have thrown so much money at those two films.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing. That never made sense to me. Now, the film is a guilty pleasure of mine, so it's all well and good. But, like, if you're making a universe, why do Suicide Squad as your third film? What does it achieve?
Oh, because Marvel hasn't done it yet.
Well, that's like the literal reason, but I'm pretty sure Marvel
No,
didn't
no, no,
do
no.
that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Marvel didn't do that because it doesn't make sense.
I know. Like, I mean, Sony have still got their Sinister Six on the cards, and I mean, okay. Coincidentally, I sent you a status I put up when like how many years ago? I don't know how many years ago, but it was when the Amazing Spider-Man was a thing.
2014, yeah. I think it was.
Yeah, and I was actually really on board with the Sinister Six film idea because it was different, and you know, because okay, look at the Raimi trilogy. The villains are really decent. The only one they're all really good apart from Venom. Like even Sandman's very interesting, and he, you know, you connect with him as an audience member, especially the scene where he's first born and he takes the, you know, the locket. That's really, you know, connecting as a character. And, you know, obviously Otto Octavius and, you know, Green Goblin, obviously. And if that franchise carried on to, you know, Spider-Man 5, and then for the sixth one they just called it like Spider-Man versus the Sinister Six, or just the Sinister Six, by far all the most interesting characters would have been the villains. Like if you got Norman Osborn back, like, you know, Willem Dafoe, and if you got, you know, Octavius back, you know, Alfred Molina, and, you know, in some regards, in some way, shape or form, like they were gonna, you know, like Batman Unchained, the planned Batman sequel where he was gonna go through the asylum.
Oh yeah, of course. But like, I want to say Spider-Man 4's opening montage was going to be that, but then it was just going to focus on the Vulture. I want to say.
Oh yeah, no. The opening montage was going to be just the D-list heroes, and then a joke about, you know, Bruce Campbell being Mysterio.
Which
but
I'm just upset we didn't get. And also,
I know,
something that bums me a little bit. I mean, I like the performance fine, so it's all good. But like, Rhys Ifans, I actually thought, considering what the script gave him, was actually a pretty good Dr. Connors. But I really wanted to see the guy from Spider-Man 2 and 3 do it. I really wanted to see Dylan Baker's, because it's been built up.
Yeah, just for synergy, because they gave him the one arm. They were seeding it so much.
And he kept saying how it was interesting, they had talks, and it would have been so good. It would have been so good.
But yeah, but like, with that, you know, you had all them seeded. So, you know, if for their sixth film in their franchise, that would have been a natural progression to do a Sinister Six, like a villain-focused film. And that was in a time, I mean, when was Spider-Man 4 going to come out? It was going to come out in 2011.
Yes.
Well, 2012, because Raimi wanted the year off. And then, how many years apart? Wait, Spider-Man came out in 2001. Spider-Man
was 02. Spider-Man 2 was 04. And Spider-Man 3 was 07.
Okay, and then 4 would have been 2011.
4 would have been 2011.
The next one probably would have been... the next one would have been 2013 or 14, I'd say.
Yeah. And then Raimi was like, nah, so I just went, okay, 2012, fast track a reboot. Got it.
Yeah. So that would have been 4. 5 would have been probably like 13, 14. Then 6 would have been maybe, you know, like 16, 17. Like just in the year we just left, really. And, you know, and it's really weird that like Sony had greenlit all the stuff for the Amazing Spider-Man franchise to lead to that. So I felt like that would have been a much better fit for the Raimi trilogy. I mean, especially from the director of Evil Dead. I mean, come on, if you're going to do a villains-focused film with Spider-Man villains, you get Evil Dead maker to do it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, I don't know. I was just looking forward to that Aunt May spin-off that we never got, but...
golden oldie.
One can dream, yeah.
But yeah, getting back to DC and Suicide Squad. How psyched were you for Suicide Squad?
I was actually cautiously optimistic. I liked almost every single trailer. And I liked all the casting, but I was like,
even Jai Courtney.
A lot of it, yeah, because I was like, I don't care about Captain Boomerang. All right, he's in the ensemble.
Well, I was actually into it because it was the first time he was going to use his actual accent.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I was just like, I want this to be good. It feels like it's going to be a Hot Topic pandering film, which of course it ended up being in its tone, where it tries to be too cool for its own good. And that stuff I
So
don't
you weren't
like.
so you weren't like put off by all the kind of stories coming out about Jared Leto.
No, I was more kind of confused actually. And when I
I was
first
more
saw
just
it,
like, yeah.
when I first saw it, I was
Yeah.
terrified by his rendition of the Joker because I was like, "This, I don't know what this is. This isn't the Joker. This is just okay."
To be fair, I actually was really interested to see his take on the Joker because I remember when the first pictures came out of like him with the tattoos and it was a reference to the Killing Joke, like the pose he was in, and I was like, you know what, I'm really into this out there alternative take on the Joker as a kind of punk, as a kind of this version of the character because a remake should only exist if you're going to do something new with it. And obviously, I know reboots are a semi-quausal remake, and if you're going to the Joker's been done. Jack Nicholson played himself in it, and it was cool. Mark Hamill knocked out the park with the animated series. You got the Arkham game Joker, which is pretty decent, and obviously Heath Ledger made the Joker an Oscar award-winning cinematic character. You know what I mean?
Yes, I mean on that, I actually really admire. DC that they didn't wait. They didn't go. Is it too soon? They just kind of did it. They're like, okay, we're gonna reboot it. We're gonna go straight to the Joker straight away, opposed to being like, oh, is it too soon? Can we do this? They weren't like pussyfooting.
I mean, I don't think it was too soon. What was the Dark Knight, like 2008?
2008 to 2015, 2016. I like.
Well, that's Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, the Joker was only in 2008 though. Like, so audiences had not seen the Joker on cinematic screens since 2008, and Suicide Squad came out in what? 2015.
20. Yeah, it's about 2016. So that was about 8 years.
Yeah, 2016.
But in internet audience time, and with a performance like Heath Ledger gave, I do commend them on not like going, is it too soon? Like thinking about it too much. They just kind of did it, and they went so incredibly out there. I admire not necessarily the balls, but just the. It felt smart to me not to really acknowledge that portrayal as like memorable as it was. They were just like, we're doing our own thing, and we are going to do it, and we're going to do it quickly. That I admire. Which is not an easy job for Jared Leto.
Interestingly, just kind of segueing into BVS. You do know that they offered a lot of money to Christian Bale to come back as Batman,
I did read that, and that would have just been kind of bizarre. I mean, when I saw Man of Steel, I always read it as kind of a spiritual successor to The Dark Knight Rises, opposed to setting up its own universe.
When I saw Man of Steel, I could see this fitting in to that universe pretty well, because, because they were doing the whole, this is gritty and realistic, and what if Superman really came to Earth? And it's like, and I understand that because you contextualize Batman, one of the most ridiculous characters in comics, into a crime film, into an actual crime Oscar-nominated film. Like, actually, when has a comic book movie ever had that kind of critical accolade?
There's literally an explanation for this, and I need to go on a bit of a detour. Instead of going backwards, I'm going to go forwards. Are you familiar with Chris Nolan's involvement in the DC universe since Dark Knight Rises as a whole, like each step?
Has he been like an exec producer?
No. So he did Dark Knight Rises, and I don't know about most people, I got a feel that he kind of felt obliged to do that movie. I like Dark Knight Rises, but it doesn't feel like it's something he really wanted to do. He felt like he had to for his own, because everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I don't like Dark Knight Rises, not for the. Yeah, not for the obvious reasons, but I dislike it because it just feels like a paint-by-numbers film. Sure. It feels like a film with a checklist. It feels like a film that's got to hit beats. And, okay, let's be honest, it obviously was the only film that wasn't planned by him in terms of like...
No. He's even come out and said, I was actually planning to, when we were on set on The Dark Knight, we were going to bring Heath back, and it was going to be a returning Batman villain, and it was going to go more into that kind of thing. And then the moment he died...
Apparently loads of the rumours were like saying that they were going to do a kind of Arkham City thing, where the Joker was going to release a lot of people from the asylum, and they were going to take over the city.
Yeah.
But in a more kind of... Yeah, and I would have been way up for that, because then you would have got an ending to the franchise that was a bang. You would have got a lot more villains, and I think for what he had to do, he did really well with Dark Knight Rises. It's just not my kind of film. It's just not enjoyable for me.
The thing with that is, he did that to close that trilogy, so he doesn't have to do Dark Knight 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But in him leaving that, he kind of set them up to do what they wanted to do, so he could leave them. Because with Man of Steel...
So you're talking about Robin?
No, I'm talking about Man of Steel. With Man of Steel, literally, he was a very, very hands-on producer, like a PGA producer.
Right.
He coded the story,
Right.
and I want to say he had not a big say, but quite a say in the edit. While that was Zack's film in the direction and the artistic design, Nolan's fingers were actually actively involved on that movie, and that's why it feels like a Nolan movie a little bit. And then with Batman vs Superman, he was like, "Hey, I want to do my Interstellar movie. Can you not?" But he still consulted. He still consulted here and there. He was the one that suggested Ben Affleck for Batman, and he took an executive producer's credit, and that was that.
So are you telling me? Are you telling me that Man of
Justice
Steel
League,
is actually Nolan's fault and not Schneider's fault?
It's you know what? I would go as far as to call that a Nolan film and not a Nolan rip-off film.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call it a Nolan film. I'd say I'd call it a Nolan-esque film, but
I'd call Transcendence a Nolan-esque film. I'd say that's a Nolan film he didn't direct. Because he did the story as well. Which is actually really evident, because it feels like Batman Begins, with the going all over the place. And then...
Yeah, I get what you mean. But the thing is,
Justice
like...
League, on Justice League,
yeah.
he's literally just credited as an exec producer and did nothing. And he keeps getting called, like, the godfather of this universe, and I'm pretty sure he just wants to go away and do his own things.
So why do you think he didn't... Why do you think he kind of lost faith with DC? Do you think it's because of the reception of Man of Steel?
I don't think he lost faith at all. I think he only did his work he did for Man of Steel because he was pseudo-interested. Not interested enough to actually make stuff, but he was I think he just wanted to set them up to do their own thing.
Well, I feel like he was already doing that with the end of The Dark Knight Rises because it ends so openly with, hey, Robin, hey, Nightwing.
Which was super stupid as well, but, like, whatever.
I know, but the thing is, you know what? I wouldn't have minded Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a type of Robin, or
actually,
I don't think a Nightwing would have worked.
The
but
thing,
like, you know,
I never gave a single crap about John Blake. The thing that annoyed me for a good year and a half after Dark Knight Rises came out, and halfway kept going, I want to do a Catwoman film. I'm trying to convince Nolan to produce a Catwoman film with a new director, and it just kind of dropped off the face of it kind of just dropped off the face of the earth, and I would have loved to have seen it, because she stole Dark Knight Rises for me.
You know what? I would have been up for seeing Anne Hathaway in a Catwoman film, because, because I think that would have been the Black Widow film everyone wanted and no one got, and that would have really set DC a high above... the Marvel computers.
It would have been them making up for the Halle Berry movie, and it would have been them doing a spin-off based on a villain, and it would have been female-led. It would have just been...
Hot scoop, Logan. Hot scoop.
Yeah. Oh, hit me.
Halle Berry's Catwoman is a guilty pleasure of mine.
Get off. Stop. No.
I mean, I know it's a pile of dog shite, but, you know...
Why are you like this?
Teenage hormones got the better of me at the time, Logan.
Have you seen the editing in that movie when they're fighting at the end, when they're doing the basketball?
Yes. Yeah, the basketball scene is fucking hilarious to me.
You need to stop.
Like, so scandalous. Like, literally, every time I watch it, I can't help but cry laughing. It's
and the
just
voice
so
actress,
funny.
The voice actress of Lois Griffin is just her best friend for no reason.
But you know what, though? I just think the film's really funny. Obviously, not intentional, but, like, I think at the time, teenage hormones did get the better of me with, like, the costume and everything. But also, I honestly think a lot of people would have liked that version of Catwoman a lot more if she wasn't a DC character.
I mean, she's not. She's Patience Phillips. She's an original character with a DC brand.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. She's not the Catwoman from DC. It obviously transcended that, and I think if they had, definitely kind of... I mean, I know the name... You couldn't have gotten away from the name, but say Catwoman never existed in the DC universe, yeah? Sure. But that film still came out. I definitely think it wouldn't have been as hated as it is.
It would have been cheesy fun, I guess.
Yeah. In fact, I reckon it would have been not a cult classic, but it would have been one of those things in the vein of Charlie's Angels from the noughties that, you know,
Oh,
is looked
sure,
upon
yeah. It's one of those
fondly by the
2000s
masses.
movies. I can blow your mind a
Yeah.
little bit here. Did you know that that movie's actually in the canon of the Burton Schumacher films?
No, it's not.
It is.
I've heard this myself.
Did
no,
you
no,
see-
I've heard this myself.
It is.
I know that it was originally meant to be Michelle Pfeiffer, and I know about all the plans that people kept dropping out, and people kept dropping out.
No,
and the thing got
no,
rewritten
no,
in
no,
it.
no, 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 not that. Although, yes, it was originally a Burton-produced Michelle Pfeiffer film. In the film itself,
Lay me on your mind-blowing fact.
in the film itself, there's a scene where she's being taught the history of all the Catwoman of the previous worlds, and one of the photos that's sprayed about on the floor is just a direct picture of Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, like from the set of Batman Returns. So that exists.
I think you're confusing cinematic universes for Easter eggs.
You know what? Maybe I am.
Yeah, because don't worry, I've been there before. I also saw R2-D2 in J.J. Abrams' Star Trek and thought, what? You know,
but that makes,
you know,
it makes sense within the canon.
What, Catwoman or Star Trek?
No, Star Trek is just R2-D2. Hey fans, look at that. That makes no sense. It
Yeah,
makes sense
exactly.
it makes sense in the context of the scene.
Okay, well, what about E.T.'s in Phantom Menace and Yoda in E.T.?
That's a very, very grey area, and I don't know what to think.
Okay, I understand what you mean, because for me, there is a very fine line between connected universe and an Easter egg. Because, okay, let's take an example, yeah? In Jason Goes to Hell, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
There's...
You're doing a
you see-
Necronomicon thing.
Yeah, you see the Necronomicon Ex Mortis and the Kandarian Dagger. Now, those are original props that were only made by the Evil Dead team, yeah?
Yes.
It is the exact props. It was lent to the director of that film, and the director's intention, he's always said this, is that he was implying that Jason is a Deadite, and what his mum was doing in the first Friday the 13th was a Kandarian ritual, which rose him from the dead at the end of the film, and that's why he's been impossible to kill throughout the franchise.
Yes.
Now, that contextually all makes sense, yeah? And there's a few tie-in things here and there, like you see Freddy's glove in Evil Dead 2, which, you know, is more of an Easter egg than a connected universe thing. What Jason Goes to Hell was going to do is literally like dancing on the line of Easter egg and connected universe. You know what I mean? It's like literally tiptoeing on those boundaries.
Are you talking about like the last scene where the glove comes up and it drags him down?
Yeah, because that was like, yes, this is going to lead into Freddy versus Jason. This is,
But that movie
Freddy
itself-
Krueger.
But that movie itself apparently isn't quite canon, so it's just like, it's all over the place.
Well, Jason Goes to Hell it was very confusing if Freddy versus Jason was canon, because Jason X, the one in space, isn't canon at all, which is weird. But I think that came out in between Jason Goes to Hell and Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah, it did. That movie, it was only made to keep the Friday the 13th brand in people's minds. That's literally the only reason.
But they didn't have the rights to the name Friday the 13th,
Yeah,
which is why it's like, it changes to Jason Takes Manhattan, Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X.
It was while Freddy vs. Jason was in dead hell over the producers arguing about rights and money and time of characters and stupid stuff like that.
But in terms of Catwoman...
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I would treat that as an Easter egg.
I mean, after when its initial stage was a Burton-produced Pfeiffer film, and then a Burton-produced Ashley Judd film, and then an original character with that in the background, I go, why not? Because it was only a few years after Batman and Robin.
I mean, you say that
Batman Begins wasn't a thing yet.
Okay. I understand that, but, you know, I think you also... I think you also need to remember that, you know, Spider-Man was also going on, and you know, there were talks about having Hugh Jackman appear in Spider-Man 2, but not in the costume, to maybe have a reference. And
there was a reference to Cyclops come out of Spider-Man 1.
There's a reference to Cyclops?
It was cut out of Spider-Man 1. It's a filmed deleted scene.
What was it?
I'll send you a link later. It's Spider-Man, he just saved a member of the city. I think it was the blimp fight, or something around there. And he walks past this vendor, this guy who's just selling stuff out of a cart, and it's Stan Lee, and it was going to be his second cameo in the film, a different one, and it's him giving Spider-Man these free red glasses and saying, "Hey, take these. It's like the ones they wear in the X-Men." And you're just like, okay.
Oh, see, that wouldn't have made sense at all.
And it wouldn't anyway. Yeah.
I mean, unless you take the concept that the X-Men are so famous that there are comic books made about them, which is what Logan did.
Yeah, I mean, which to a degree, did start to happen in the later films.
Yeah, but again, I mean, you can why not it with Catwoman, but I think I think that's where fans twist something so far into something to connect it. That I mean, yeah, you can, but why? Why extend the effort?
I would have said no chance in hell if they tried to remotely make Catwoman take place in Gotham or reference what's her name? Selena Kyle. The fact that it is a completely original thing makes me go, literally, like you said, why not?
But you know what's even funnier to me? It's just the fact that going to Gotham, it's such a mismatch. It's such a cobbled together throne of all the televised and cinematic versions of the Batman mythos thrown into one show. It's like the Burton universe mixed with the Nolan universe mixed with the video game universe.
Yeah. And going, hey, we're going to put some Arkham in here, but not before some Batman 89. Oh, do you know the Dark Knight exists? Hey, BBS exists too. Hey, what are we? We haven't actually got our own identity, is what that show is.
Yeah, I know. It's like, ooh, it's a crime, an underground crime like Nolan, but it's got the Penguin from the Burtonverse, and they got Gothic buildings, and it's got the colour grade, and but it's got the weird kind of comic roots of the Arkham games, and it's like, what?
What are you, show? Did you actually know what the origins of Gotham came from? It was based off,
as in why the show was made.
Yeah, it was based off a developed show called Bruce Wayne that never went to pilot, and the pilot that was being
I can see that happening because Smallville happened, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly, and Smallville was on its second to last season, and the producers of Smallville were like, "Hey, what about Batman?" And they developed.
But you know what's really funny? Like Gotham suffers for the thing that Smallville suffered from, which was first of all, it's the adventures of the early Clark Kent before he's Superman. That's boring.
Yes.
He's got nothing to do
100%.
because all you do is keep throwing in all the people from the comics, and it's like there's Aquaman, there's the Flash, Batman might be around, here's a Green Lantern, and it's like why are they all around and Superman is not around? And then they fucking throw Lois in it, and it's like I swear he doesn't even know her until he goes to Metropolis, but whatever.
You know what?
Again,
I never watched Smallville when it was on TV, but about a year and a half after it was finished, I tried to start it. I got about 5 episodes in. I was like, no.
But you know what? Smallville's good in terms of an episodic show. It does feel like it's a comic book show.
I can't get more than 5 episodes in. I don't know what it was trying to do.
It just got really boring when they had to find ways of Clark doing things that wasn't necessarily making Superman, and then hiding him, and then dancing with the concept. But basically, Arrow kind of toyed with that a bit, but at least they made him actually be the actual character without naming him, whereas Smallville was all they were going to build to the point where he would be Superman, but they just kept delaying when that would be. And because then your shows ended. Then your shows ended.
Yeah, I watched the last 10 minutes of the last episode where he's pretty much Superman in the most blunt way of the airplane scene, and I was just like, okay, I've seen what I needed to see. Was it worth 10 years of wait? Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. And it's stop selling these prequel shows. I don't like these ideas. Gotham's a bad idea. What's it called? Krypton? That's a bad idea.
Krypton about Superman's grandfather thousands of years earlier?
I haven't seen anything about it. I haven't looked at any photo, any trailer, any episode. I don't know if it's out. I don't care if it's not out yet and it's coming out. It's a stupid idea.
Oh no, it's already out. And apparently that's supposed to be vaguely Man of Steel related.
Well, who cares? Who
David
actually cares?
David S. Goyer cares. That's his TV show.
No, but who cares? If you want to make an original Sci-Fi Planet thing, cool, do it. you do realise that everyone you have in this show is dead. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
they all blow up at the beginning of
what?
Man of Steel. And
I would actually say,
Yeah.
Jor-El is a compelling enough character to warrant spending a good amount of time with him. Superman's grandfather.
Yeah, and I agree, and it's Russell Crowe.
Superman's grandfather, though, that's so random. Nobody cares. It's not even close to being related.
It's what?
Like, but the grandfather, it makes absolutely no sense. It's so
I know,
unrelated.
I know. It's like, if you're gonna, you know what, a Jor-El prequel film would have been cool.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
because then I would have liked to explore Metropolis that way, and then it would have been interesting. Because what if you made like Jor-El, like, just have the kind of, I mean, what they were trying to do with Finn in Star Wars, like in Force Awakens, how, you know, he defect, like, basically his journey from the beginning to the half of the film. If they had that for Jor-El, and he was like kind of this bureaucratic, antagonistic character that was maybe unlikable, and throughout like the film, he becomes very disillusioned with his own kind of, you know, politics and his own planets, you know, and maybe he. And maybe someone comes to him, like an environmentalist, and is like, "Oh, the planet's gonna be destroyed," and he kind of shoves it off. But then when he kind of sees the legitimacy of it and takes it to people, and kind of, I would like it to be very conspiracy based, and it'd be interesting because
you could do that. You'd have like You'd have General Zod as like a supporting character. It would work fine.
Exactly. General Zod could have been a really you know what? Him and Jor-El could have been friends.
Mm-hmm. But
that would have been interesting.
Zod was like a warmonger and. You know, Jor-El was just
kind
of peaceful.
But you know what's interesting is I don't see Zod as a villain. I see him as an anti-hero.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He's not trying to be evil for the sake of being evil. He has an agenda for his planet.
He had, you know what, like, yeah, and I that's what makes people like Thanos pretty compelling in Infinity War, and what's made people like Killmonger pretty compelling in Black Panther. He has
motives, but he has good intentions. Yeah. He's not trying to be like take over the world. He's like
I know you haven't seen Black Panther yet, but the whole point, like, is that, you know, by the end of the film, the villain's right. Like, the hero adopts the villain's ideology and implements it into the world. Like, literally, he takes the villain's plan, but just in a heroic sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean that's
which you know, have you ever seen that in a superhero film ever?
Not one I can name off the top of my head.
Yeah, and have you really even seen that in many films?
Not many films, no.
Because I haven't seen the protagonist take the antagonist's viewpoint and be like, yeah, that's right, and then implement it themselves and be like, yeah, this is the way we should do it.
It also feels very real that way as well, that it would actually have like a ideological effect on the hero.
Of course it would, because, I mean, that's essentially what the Dark Knight was, you know, doing, but not in a sense of ideology, more in a sense of ideologies in terms of, like, you know, he was trying to see like, look, Batman, you have to make yourself the villain because, you know, the idea of something else is more important than what you actually are. But it wasn't the plan. It was just kind of a sacrifice. It was a sacrifice and a heroic sacrifice.
Yeah. Of course,
and you know, and that's what made kind of Batman in that moment, like, very compelling as a hero, because let's be honest, no one gave a crap about Batman in The Dark Knight until more or less the ending of the film, when he was like, I killed those people, you know, and then he lets them chase him, you know what I mean?
Sure. And, he's actually quite passive in that film.
Yeah, he is very passive, because literally, I'd say the Joker's like the protagonist.
Yeah, I mean, you have that moment where Bruce Wayne gets in the car crash and he doesn't even know the context of what was going on. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah, but also the film opens with the Joker. Like, it's his film. From beginning to more or less the end. Like, is he one of the final shots? No, actually. Like, him dangling off the roof. Like, do they cut back to him and he's like just dangling
They don't
there?
do that at all. The last time you see him is about 10 to 15 minutes before the film ends, because it goes straight to the Harvey Dent, Commissioner Gordon stuff for the rest of the film. Okay. The last time we see the Joker is the SWAT team people pointing their guns at him.
Yeah, fair enough. But also I'll say, in terms of, I forgot, like, we went on a big tangent, but I forgot the main point of why I brought up this whole tangent.
Well, can I take it in a really stupid direction?
Oh, yeah, what?
I said, can I take this in a really stupid direction?
Well, it depends on the direction first, because I had some cool things to say, but what's your stupid direction?
Oh, do say those cool things before we move on.
Well, I just want to talk about how we were talking about just anti-heroes and how, Zod, especially in Man of Steel, I see him as an anti-hero, and I see him quite compelling in that way because he has got a good viewpoint. I wanted to talk just a bit more like Suicide Squad and how kind of it just missed the mark, and how, they were trying to promote it on villains, and when you try to make villains the protagonists, they become anti-heroes because you have to legitimize, like everything they were doing wasn't really their fault. And in terms of what we were talking about,
Suicide Squad just feels really disingenuous.
It felt really gimmicky, and also I just want to say, like, because we were talking about Jared Leto's Joker building up to that and all that sort of other stuff. Like, I think because you thought it was ballsy for them to tackle that head on, and I was thinking, I actually would have preferred if maybe either these two options. One, you make him the legitimate villain of the film. You make him the antagonist. And, like, maybe in a sense that, the Suicide Squad are deployed into a situation and the Joker's part of it. Like, maybe he's also in the asylum and then he turns, like, he's manipulated the whole thing and he's, like, made them be put there so he can do something, and they turn against him because they all don't want to get killed. Because maybe his chip doesn't work. Maybe he's disabled his suicide chip.
The thing with that is...
And so if he fucks up...
Because
but in terms of motive, in terms of motive of like getting an audience on board, say if they're all in the situation where, look, you're put there, you're all going to die if one of you fucks up, and the Joker's disabled his chip, and so he's doing what he wants, that puts all of them in danger. So they're instantly going to be against him.
Sure.
That immediately creates a conflict within a narrative. I'd either something like that, or not have him in the film at all.
Well, it's tough because the script was literally written from first initial draft to shooting script in 8 weeks.
That's not enough time.
And it shows. And David Ayer has since actually said his biggest regret in the film, and he keeps kicking himself, is that he didn't make the Joker the main antagonist. That's his biggest regret in the film. He would have done that now.
No, but whose idea was it to be Enchantress? Or Amanda Waller? Like, I guess one of them two?
The most boring people possible. Yeah.
I know. And, how do you make a demon, like an ancient demon, how do you make that boring?
Do you know what's funny? It's also just 2 movies after Man of Steel.
Yeah. Okay. I know. Like Weekly Planet have also referenced this, but also I've seen this on a number of reviews. It's such a jarring drop in tone, and like you go from Man of Steel, which is like like an alien has come to Earth. This is groundbreaking. This has never happened.
Going down to Amy Adams.
It literally is Arrival. And then 2 movies later, it's like, we've had crazy clown fights and the Flash around and Green Lanterns possibly at some point, and we've had all that for 30, 40 years.
Because of course they do.
Yeah, and what are they doing? But you know what? I actually liked all the world building in Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. Like, I liked the opening sequence with the Batman.
I also think some of the dialogue. Some of the dialogue is atrocious in that movie, but I also actually find some of it really underrated and quirky.
What are you saying? We're some kind of Suicide Squad?
I think it's more what the actors are bringing to the table, because some of the actors, like Margot Robbie and Will Smith, are actually charismatic as actors.
Oh, of course they are. Of course they are. And you know what?
Yeah.
I was thinking, wouldn't it have been more interesting if you kind of had a like a Lord and Miller type situation where they kind of had a loose narrative and they were improving with the actors? Because I would have rather got charismatic actors that improv and got 100%. Into character.
Yeah,
that would have been a much more interesting experiment as a film than what was made.
A lot better. I mean, it's edited like that's what the case was, but no,
exactly.
So much better.
And you know what, as well? It would make sense character-wise, because these are all meant to be crazy-ass psychopathic people.
Yeah, they're supposed to be...
Everything needs to feel like
improvised. Really cold, kind of loose people, yeah.
Like, all of Suicide Squad should have been a horror narrative improv film.
100%. Yeah. And, yeah, I don't know.
Structurally... It's a bit of a missed opportunity.
It's a structural mess, but I can't say I don't have fun when I watch it. You know?
We kind of glossed over Wonder Woman, but I don't really have much to say except, what I've already said, which is like, it's the first Thor and the first Captain America shoved into one film.
Sure,
Like,
I mean,
it's literally that.
I responded to Wonder Woman simply because it was like the first Wonder Woman film. I don't know why. Superman got his first film in the 50s, Batman got his first film in the 60s, Wonder Woman got her first film in 2017, but that's how the world...
Yeah, but Wonder Woman had a long-running TV show that I think was more successful than the Superman ones.
No, as was the Batman one as well. It's just, she's always got shafted that way. But...
But also, okay, obviously, not in terms of me being sexist, but she is a woman, and a lot of people that were making media were sexist, and so
sure.
and also
it was a Mad Men time. It was a time of Mad Men, you know.
Yeah, it was a Mad Men of DC, but also like it's fine and good, but you know what I think it would have been a decent idea if they started their cinematic universe with Wonder Woman.
Would have made sense.
Yeah, I think that would have been a much natural
would have been bold,
starting. I can see her being the Iron Man of DC.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it makes a lot of sense that they started with Superman, even though it wasn't the intention. They actually wanted to start with Green Lantern of all things, but
and that's not a bad idea because maybe starting out in space is an interesting angle to come from than starting on Earth because.
But that Green Lantern movie was painful.
Oh, you mean the Ryan Reynolds was meant to be the one that springboarded the franchise?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, but that was made in a time when it's like, oh, we can't be weird yet. We've just got to still make it on Earth. But they didn't get the memo. So it's half an Earth story. It's half like a rom-com standard paint-by-numbers movie with a weird campy space thing thrown in.
With
and
no effects budget, yeah.
Oh yeah. It's totally biting off more than it can chew in terms of its effects department, obviously.
And somehow directed by Martin Campbell. How does that happen?
I know. I don't know. I just don't know.
I've never understood that. How Green Lantern is by the guy who made Casino Royale. I'm like, what?
I know. But, it's obviously, I guess he understands, different... I don't know. You know what? But if you said to me, the director of Casino Royale is going to make a Green Lantern film, I would be excited.
Oh, yeah, I'd be so on board, yeah. Especially in the years that you're in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my... Okay, you know what? What if he directed it, but Nolan produced it?
Yeah, that would have been great. It would have been super.
And you didn't, and you know what? Just recast the whole thing, except Sinestro, because oh my god, that was perfect.
I'll say Jeffrey Rush and Michael Clarke Duncan weren't that badly cast.
I think they're so. I can take them or leave them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, they're just voices. You literally can take them or leave them.
Yeah, literally, you can take them or leave them. But yeah, I think. It's just really weird because I feel like if DC has trouble getting the ball rolling.
They have trouble on getting a tone they like and sticking with it. Or they always have.
You know what? You know what it is? They can't find an identity unless they have an auteur that does it for them.
Yeah, that's...
Because think about it. Tim Burton did that with Batman, yeah? And then Christopher Nolan did it with Batman.
Same thing. I'd even say, Richard Donner as well.
Yeah. I would probably, agree with that if it wasn't for, a lot of disagreements between how to treat the films and then cutting up the original story into two films.
Yeah.
And then... Because, at that point, they definitely thought they knew better, but at least...
no, those producers were the worst.
But with Batman, they literally got auteurs to, set the tone. Mm-hmm. And you can tell because as soon as the auteurs left, they went really fucked up with the franchise. Like, I mean, look what happened to Batman after Tim Burton left. Like,
sure, but look at Batman Returns. Like, what would his first?
Okay, but you know what? So, Batman Returns is a less jarring tonal shift than it is with Joel Schumacher.
I think Batman Returns is actually one of the better Batman films. I love it. I love watching it myself. But
I don't. Wait. Is there an opinion that Batman Returns is bad? Because I was under the impression that people like it.
There's a very big opinion that it's bad.
I mean, I know the opinion that people are like, oh, it's basically just a Tim Burton film, and it's like, well, so's the first one, really. I know this one's more a Tim Burton film,
I mean, no,
it still feels like it fits into the first film's universe.
The thing is, the first one, feels like what it is. Fresh-faced Burton trying to make a name for himself in the industry. It's like a second or third job. And then Batman Returns is, I just did Beetlejuice. I just did Edward Scissorhands. I'm going to do this. You know.
Yeah,
you can feel his confidence.
But look, if you didn't see those films, and if you saw Batman 89 and Batman Returns, yeah, I don't think you would be so thrown out of tone like say you would if you watched a Man of Steel and then Suicide Squad, or say if you watched Batman 89 and then Batman and Robin, or if you
not
watched
as much.
the
It's still there a little bit.
Yeah, but I feel like that's more. I feel like it had to do that because I mean, come on, what would have I feel like Penguin and Catwoman at those times needed the Burton aesthetic because if you didn't do that, I think it would have been boring.
Oh, 100%. And did you not read like what his third Batman film was gonna be before Warner Brothers told him not to?
Is this Batman Triumphant?
No, that's after Batman and Robin. Because Batman Forever was developed like in its early stages as a straight Batman.
Oh, Batman
sequel.
Forever.
Yeah, no.
But you know what? You can tell because it's got the Burton kind of fingerprints and the story beats.
It does, but like here's the thing: it was gonna be like Batman Returns in terms of how like not dark but morbid it
Weird.
was. The Riddler was gonna be the villain. It was gonna be Robin Williams, I believe.
That would have been really, really good. Robin Williams as the Riddler.
He was gonna have a pet rat at all times, and he was gonna be completely obsessed with Batman, like he is in the final film. And he was gonna have his hair shaved into like a question mark. It was gonna be like how Danny DeVito is kind of the Penguin, but not at all. It was gonna be the same kind of thing with the Riddler.
Well, I feel like Danny DeVito plays himself in a lot of stuff, but he plays nice Danny DeVito or he plays mean Danny DeVito.
Where are you going with this when we talk about Batman Returns?
What?
When you say Danny DeVito plays himself in a lot of stuff, when the topic is Batman Returns, I'm just like, where are you going with this?
Because I feel like, you know, when I see him as the Penguin, I'm like, this is Danny DeVito's gothic Penguin. Sure. And, I mean, for God's sakes, he bites someone's nose off. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I can see Danny DeVito doing that in Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
That's true.
Like, are you telling me you wouldn't assume a Danny DeVito rough edge character to do that? Because I would.
I guess. I mean, there wasn't going to be...
I can see the character in Twins doing that.
There wasn't going to be any Chase Meridian. Michelle Pfeiffer was going to come back for that film. And I want to believe Robin was going to be introduced, but it wasn't going to do the circus thing. It was going to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I remember. He was going to be like a street rat, like an orphan boy that breaks into the Batmobile. That's what Burton wanted to do.
Well, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's what was in his script.
Oh, yeah.
He was going to be like a homeless guy, a homeless like teenager that breaks into the Batmobile, opposed to the whole orphan circus thing. But straight after Batman Returns came out, Warner Brothers was like, "We're going to do this," and then Burton was like, "Yeah, that bores me." And then shortly after, Michael Keaton was like, "Yeah, I liked the Burton thing," and he just left too. And we got what we got. But whatever. But like you said, yeah, he is still a producer on Batman Forever, and you can kind of tell, because that's a movie that doesn't know what it wants to be at all.
I agree. And okay, no matter how bad it is, I do feel like Batman and Robin is way more focused in what it is than Batman Forever is.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Batman Forever is actually one of my favourite Batman films, and I'm not even sorry about it. I think it's so incredibly entertaining.
You know what? I do like all the Batman films.
Yeah.
Like, I do like all of them. Like, in their own way. Like, I like them differently. Like, I like the... Obviously, I know everyone... I mean, I don't know if the listeners know, but they will know that you're a massive fan of, the 60s Batman, the Adam West Batman. And, that is Batman done right, because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's why the Lego Batman movie works, is because it's ridiculous, because Batman is ridiculous.
I look at
and
Batman
redefining it in a darker concept is a cool way to go, but, that gets muddled, because eventually you need someone to either stay focused on that, or you eventually fall down the train and drip back into ridiculous, you know what I mean?
100%, yeah. just when I look at Batman and Robin, I go, this doesn't feel like you're trying to adapt the '60s show. It feels like you're doing a parody of it in a modern context. When I look at Batman
like
Forever,
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, when I look at Batman Forever, I go, you're doing the '60s show in a modern context because it's got the kind of dark side to it.
Yeah,
and that's why I think it's a self-contradiction. In one end, Batman Forever's tone is all over the place. On the other end, I think it's the perfect tone for considering the history of Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Because it does both the dark thing and the cheesy thing, and considering that those are polar opposites, I think the balance isn't as bad as it could be.
Yeah.
You know?
By the way, we've been speaking a lot about Batman lately. Should we go back to DC as a whole?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I thought we were going to go on to stuff like Superman and Steel. Did you see Steel?
Yeah, I saw Steel.
What did you think of Steel?
I liked Steel when it came out because I was an idiot.
Did you see it in the theatres?
Nah. I saw it on like some crappy like copy, and then it was on like a late night.
I was going to say you'd have been like 2 years old
when it came out.
Yeah.
So I definitely didn't watch it in cinemas, but no, I watched either a crappy copy of it first and didn't know what the hell it was, and then years later, because my dad went through this phase where he was just showing me a bunch of random superheroes. Like he showed me Steel, then he showed me Spawn, then he showed me some other one that I don't even know the name of, but it was like, I think it was an adaptation of one of the Image heroes, and it was an animated thing, and he thought it was really funny. And then he showed me Mars Attacks.
Yeah, I like your dad. Your dad's got cool. Your dad and me would have very similar taste.
No, my dad's got a very varied movie taste. He just found these really silly and weird and thought they were funny, and he was like, "Yeah, you gotta watch these. These are weird." No,
but isn't that dad goals in terms of movies? Hey, son, watch Spawn.
Well, yeah, but you know, like there's also, you know, the kind of passing of the baton of becoming a man in my immediate family of like, you know, you transition from being a boy to a man is at the age of 10 when he sits you down and he shows you Dog Soldiers.
What is that?
You don't know what Dog Soldiers is?
Not a clue.
You need to look. Okay, Logan. At some point, I will sit you down and we will watch Dog Soldiers, and you will become a man.
You know what? Looking forward to it. I wondered when that would happen.
Yeah. And do not look up anything about it, but I will just say werewolves.
What the fuck? Okay. All right.
Okay. Now, getting back on topic with just DC as a whole. Like before we go like straight to all the knockoffs, and then even to the old Superman films, just in terms of the modern climate.
Yeah.
When do you think, if the DC Cinematic Universe or the Extended Universe or whatever it was going to be, if there was ever a time for them to come out and do it right, or work on something that already did that was working, or even just do something original in a different time, what should have been done?
I would have liked them, and again, this is me going very out of left field. You know how, I mean, we've had an argument about this before, but I'm going to deliberately go on your end of the argument just to make my own point. You know how you say Iron Man was a very not well-known superhero, so starting on that was kind of ingenious. I would have done stuff like Birds of Prey or Gotham City Sirens or Nightwing as the first films and established Gotham City.
You know what? Nightwing would have been a good, interesting thing to do.
Because you can just establish it as its own, as you can establish the universe first and then bring in the big main characters.
Oh no! You know what I'm just thinking that I'm doing in my head, like accidentally. What? I'm the big kind of like stabbing in the back of the head thingy of me is saying, do Nightwing after Dark Knight Rises with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and have that be the springboard of the franchise, and then every now and again you can bring in Christian Bale as cameos. Woo!
You know what? I can promise you, there was at least 4 producers that genuinely tried their hardest for that to be the case.
Of course. But why is that what my brain goes to? Why is that the only thing people were thinking of at the time? Surely there's got to be more original ideas like you thought, like come up with original ideas for a film with a lesser known character. But nah, I guess all consumer wants is Batman, Nightwing, Superman, Justice League. They just want the big hitters because
that's
no
how
one's
IPs work.
making
That's
them.
how you need to guarantee profit. And what makes more money here? You know, Gotham City Sirens or Superman?
I mean, I don't know. Man of Steel 2 is coming out in what, 2021 or 2020?
I mean, I'm hyped for that either way because what's going around
Yeah, but
is
Man of Steel came out in 2014.
13. Yeah, 13.
13?
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, it came out the year after Avengers, didn't it?
It came out the year directly after Rises.
Oh my god, this is 7 years!
But the thing is though, the people getting tapped for that are either George Miller of Fury Road or Matthew Vaughn of Kingsman. And if there's two people I wouldn't mind doing Superman, it's those two.
Okay, look, good choices. As I've said 1,000 times, if you don't build your foundation on a solid ground, you're never going to have a good, stable structure in terms of a franchise. Like, they built this on... Okay, fair enough. Like, Man of Steel was okay, if I'm going to be generous. I know you like it, but to me, like, I didn't mind it. I enjoyed bits of it. I thought it... I liked what they were trying to do with the origin. Okay, if the next film was good... Man of Steel would have been completely and utterly not a problem to me.
It would have been just fine.
Not even just fine. I probably would have liked it a lot more because the other films going forward in this franchise affect all the films in retrospect, which is what the MCU does.
I mean, people.
Like,
Man of Steel
a lot of people now like Age of Ultron in a much better context because of Infinity War.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't, but the people do.
Yeah, I know, people do. So, you know, I could have liked Man of Steel way more if the next film wasn't Civil War for DC.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Just...
Like, say, for example, if they did Man of Steel, and say if the next one should have been, like, a lesser known, like an Aquaman. I mean, I would have said Green Lantern, but Green Lantern was fresh off of the stink factor, so maybe you should have let them stay.
I would have done a spin-off that's close enough, but in this new universe. I would have gone Superman, Supergirl, something like Green Lantern, and then a Justice League kind of thing. Maybe Wonder Woman somewhere in there.
I think Justice League... You know what? They should have done Wonder Woman next. Wonder Woman should have been next.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it just should have been next. You shouldn't have seeded her the way... Because literally, Batman v Superman is Civil War. Because... she's the bloody Spider-Man character. Mm-hmm. Or the Black Panther character.
Yep, she's the mediator, yeah.
But also, she's teased in that film and has her thing, and then immediately they're like, oh, and here's her film. And it's like, you know what? No, she should have had her own film first. She should have had her own film.
At the same time, please remind me what the point is of the Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller cameos.
Because
on the TV screen.
So in the future, when these films have come out and they're successful, people can look back and be like, oh look, it was all seeded back there. Like basically what Marvel was doing with the MCU, with the stuff like seeding the Infinity Gauntlet in the first Thor, or having the Tesseract be an Infinity Stone, or having bloody Red Skull show up in Infinity War. Like, you know what I mean? Like things that, you know, call back from so far ahead and so forth. Like that's why there was the whole Flash in BVS going, Bruce, Lois is the key. There's a future. If I come back too far, what? And it's like it's so that when you look back, it looks like there was a plan.
Specifically, I was referring more to the emails where it's just like cameras, but like referring to that scene of the Flash specifically. The funny thing about that is, it wasn't so obvious. There were so many people that didn't know that was supposed to be the Flash because you can barely see what he looks like, and there's no context to that scene. I
know. I agree.
I agree, and I'm
sorry.
That was the Flash,
I'm sorry, but the Jason Momoa Aquaman bit was stupid. That was really stupid.
He's just holding the thing and looking at the camera and does nothing.
And, yeah, I mean, you know, I feel really bad because all I'm doing is shitting on these films. Because you know what? I will admit, Batman v Superman did something decent. It looked at something that was criticised from Man of Steel, which is, look at the bloody destruction you did, Superman. Mm-hmm. That's not saving the day. That's really bad. And they were like, oh, people didn't like that. And literally, Age of Ultron immediately like responded to that by when the city was being flown. They were like, "Hey, get all the civilians off. Make sure we get all the civilians off. Get all the." That was that was obviously there to jab at them. And then obviously the next film in terms of the Avengers was the fallout of that event of the Sokovia Accords was a big effect going forward. And in Man of Steel, in Batman v Superman, they were like, "No, this is why Batman doesn't like Superman. He was there." In the damage, he was there, and he was saving little girls, and he was, doing whatever he could.
That's the
And
interesting thing. That's the really interesting thing because Man of Steel,
that is interesting, and it's good that they
Man
listen.
of Steel watches as kind of a media response to kind of 9/11 as much as it does.
Exactly.
As much as it does, just general destruction in the way it's looked at. But on the other end. It feels a lot like overcompensation to me, because you know what I forgot?
Mm-hmm.
We both forgot Superman Returns was a thing.
What we saved a plane!
That movie was so boring and forgettable, I literally forgot it this entire discussion.
You know what, you say that, I remember a lot more about that than I remember about most of the current DC films.
Really?
You know what? I like Wonder Woman, and I can't tell you much about it besides certain scenes, and I can't tell you.
To sleep.
What? Yeah, I'll admit, some people find it boring, but you know what? Like, I can tell you like a lot of really good moments in it, and I can tell you like a lot of really like Kevin Spacey's really good in that role.
Oh yeah.
And the the bullet shooting in the eye is fucking iconic, and that was in the worst Superman film.
And you know
what I mean?
The whole thing about him having a son, that wasn't as cringeworthy as you'd think it would be. That was handled actually quite interestingly.
Yeah, I know. That's a good twist as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good twist because
I love it when he throws
flips
the
a piano.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And he gives you go, oh,
also,
yeah.
Oh my god!
That film is really weird though, because how does it play in the canon? It's in its weird own place. It's so odd.
It basically unwrites Superman 3 and 4.
I mean, that's
technically 2 in a way, but it's basically it tries to make Superman a trilogy.
Yeah, I always read it as they intend this to be Superman 3 taking place sometime after Supergirl, and I'm like, okay, I can read it as that because that's what all the character relationships are like. Hell, they even.
And you know what? I like Brandon Routh for Superman.
Yeah,
He's
they
okay.
even sleep together in Superman 2, so I get what you're going for. Except they have like modern cars and laptops and stuff in Superman Returns, so I'm just kind of like, all right.
It's like a soft reboot.
Yeah,
it's like a soft
reboot.
It's
so bizarre. I don't know what Singer was trying to do.
I mean, whatever. But it's meh.
Yeah,
it's meh.
I'd agree with that. And like you said, the casting is actually really strong in that movie all around.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd say pretty much all the cast are really good, and it's got Cyclops in it, doesn't it? As Lois's boyfriend.
Yeah, it does. And you know what? Iceman in the X-Men films was originally supposed to be Jimmy Olsen, but there was like scheduling conflicts.
He would be a really good Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, he couldn't do it because he was filming X-Men 3.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah. So I haven't seen all of Supergirl, but I remember watching scenes of it on YouTube and laughing at it with a bunch of my friends.
I am so happy to be able to say on record that I own Supergirl on DVD.
Wow, I respect you.
It's fantastic. It's if you want to watch a film and like do a drinking game, Supergirl. Holy
But you know what? What's really funny is I don't even feel it's so out of tone with the new Supergirl TV show, but yet why is the modern show so popular and that film so hated?
I want to say probably the effects and the direction, because the acting all in Supergirl, the show, I think, is comedically intentionally over the top, whereas in the movie it's just kind of awkward.
The movie kind of comes across like a pseudo-porn.
I never got that, but alright.
I mean, do you not feel like when you watch it, this is like, okay, if there were sex scenes in this, would you be surprised? Because I wouldn't be. I'd be like, this feels
I
guess
an amateur porno. Especially with the villain and the hunky man that they're trying to convince to love the other one. I guess so. But there's also some genuinely interesting like action set pieces. Like it shows you the Phantom Zone, and they stretch out Supergirl and the weird like
Oh, wait, I
composition.
definitely haven't seen that. That sounds interesting. If they go, so wait, so is this definitely set in the Christopher Reeve universe?
It was. There's a picture of Christopher Reeve. Like there's a big close up, and they talk about it, and they say Christopher Reeve, like Superman's left the planet for a while, and it's you see Christopher Reeve, Superman in the picture, because in the original script.
Oh, you know what they should have done? They should have reused the same footage they always reuse of him flying into space.
Yeah, it would have been great. In the original script, he was supposed to come in the third act, and Christopher Reeve was open to doing it.
Of course
yeah,
he was.
He was open to doing it, and then he read the script and was like, "Nah, I'm gonna go direct something."
Oh, you know, just something interesting. I think it was either the Weekly Planet or some other forum board, but they referenced that they were thinking that, you know, the way the Suicide Squad is, they were like that it looks like it'd be a natural progression of what happened with the Tim Burton universe. And so, how would you have felt if they? They were saying, you know, what would you have done
if it was like a 30-year sequel to Batman Returns?
Exactly, yeah, and say for example, if you know Jared Leto wasn't the original Joker,
yeah,
and say if you know the theory is right and he was the Jason Todd that was beaten into submission, and the Joker like did this to him,
and Bruce Wayne,
and Michael Keaton,
and
Michael Keaton was Batman again, as an aged one.
This reminds me, actually, you were saying how would I start off the universe?
Yeah,
it's such a like cliche fan theory thing everyone says. But I can't even put into words how much, if I could, I would fund a Batman Beyond movie with Michael Keaton.
Oh my God, yes!
I need it, and I need it now because he's just the right age, and it would look really cool. It'd be very unique from the rest of the series.
Yeah,
you could say
I agree.
You could
I agree. That would be really cool.
You could retcon Forever and Robin and just go, yeah, this is a long time after Batman Returns, and it would work.
Yeah,
perfectly.
I mean, that's what Hollywood does nowadays, right?
hell, just take Joseph Gordon-Levitt's John Blake and put Michael Keaton's Batman, and I'd see that movie.
Yeah, why not? It'd be a romp.
And he would happily do it as well, because he's always admitting that he's Batman now. That's all he says.
Well, Michael Keaton?
Yeah, when he goes to colleges, and when he does public speeches, and when he was getting his Hollywood Walk of Fame, and at the Spotlight premiere, every chance he gets, he will tell you he is Batman. He's like, yeah, I saw Christian Bale, and I've met Ben Affleck a few times. It's all well and good. They're lovely impersonators, but I'm Batman. And I'm just like, yeah, you are.
And it's like, but, I mean, if you really wanted to go there, Adam West.
I mean, yeah, but that was something else entirely.
But it's still the first Batman.
Actually, the first Batman, I believe, was...
I don't know.
Dude, the worst time my mind could blank. But the first Batman was the serial Batman from 1937 or 8 or something, or from the 40s. They were Batman serials.
No!
They were Batman serials.
I need to see them at some point. That sounds hilarious.
Yeah, they're on YouTube, and oh my gosh, the costumes! Oh my god. Oh, also, actually,
were there any other attempts? Were there any other attempts at taking other DC characters and like there were films in the works that just never happened?
I want to say. I mean, there was a lot of stuff. There was a Captain Marvel, either serial or show, back when he was Captain Marvel. I want to say.
That's so funny.
I want to say there was a Flash show in the development in the 80s, 90s, before the Flash TV show from the 90s, I want to say. Of course, Wonder Woman has always been in development hell, like for 30 years.
Yeah, Wonder Woman's never had its break. Like, you know what was really weird? It had that pilot, didn't it? It had that
the TV pilot from like 2011, yeah. With the awful...
I kind of liked that.
No,
I kind of liked that
what
vibe.
was that costume?
I was okay with it.
Oh.
I mean, it was a product of its era.
No, it wasn't. It was awful. It was dated when it came out. I was like, no, never.
Really? Because I remember, like... Okay, what... Do you remember when there was that attempt to modernise the Bionic Woman with Michelle Ryan?
I don't. I'm too young.
Oh, made me feel old. Well, basically, I kind of saw what they were going to do with Wonder Woman, similar with that.
Mm.
And, so even though you've never seen that, yeah, that.
I mean, the thing
But
I
you know
find
what?
funny
I
is just...
I kind of feel like, you know what they should have done with The Flash, really, in everything, especially if they want to build a cinematic universe?
Yeah.
He should be their Spider-Man. And I know that they were kind of like trying to pseudo do that with making Bruce Wayne almost seem like a bit of a mentor to him, to be all like, you saved one, and, he's the one that finds him, like the same way Tony Stark does with Tom Holland's Spider-Man in Civil War. But it should have been not the way it was done in the MCU. It should be in a way that he's a kid having fun, and he kind of just bumps into these, like, into the dark, brooding
because
Batman.
in the film, like, Spider-Man's just kind of doing his own thing, but the Flash in Justice League, the entire time is like, I don't know what I'm doing. What? Huh?
I know. And you know what? I like that concept. And if we had a whole film of it first... Okay, because in Homecoming, what's most endearing about Spider-Man is like the fact that he's fucking up, the fact that he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's not doing that well at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas if we had that with the Flash, that would be really good.
I'm forgetting. I'm very sure it's in there. But in Justice League, does the Flash ever say his motivation for doing what he does? Because his costume's pre-made. Bruce Wayne doesn't give him his costume. He already has it. So I'm just thinking, what's his motivation? Is it just because he can?
I think it's just because he can. But so, you know what I think it would have been? It would have been really interesting if, like, say if you didn't want to do the whole, traditional things that they've done in the comics, and you wanted to do your own original thing, because clearly you did. Otherwise, you wouldn't have just thrown in this version of Aquaman as well. If you didn't want to be so original with the characters, you wouldn't have made this version of Aquaman and this version of Batman.
The Aquaman they did was pretty much 90s Aquaman.
No. But in terms of no. 90s Aquaman was not a frat boy.
I mean, like in his kind of aesthetic and in how he relates to
artists. I get aesthetic. Yeah, that's design. All their designs are ripped out of a certain comic, but I'm talking about their characterization. I'm talking about the actual character itself.
Oh, sure. How he's just kind of this lonely drunk.
Aquaman, Batman, and the Flash were original concepts of their own universes thing that they wanted to push forward. And if you're going to do that, you should have made Flash a very flawed teenager. You should have made a film of him doing mistakes and then him trying to fix that with his powers.
Like
and then you know what? When she set him up as this... Yeah, literally. Like an angsty fuck-up. And then what you would have done after that is, like, say you do Man of Steel, then you do Wonder Woman, then you do The Flash, and then you do a big hitter like say a Batman, and then you have maybe Superman come into that, like either like as a cameo or near the end, or you have like The Flash come into that as a cameo at the end. And then I think the first crossover you should really do is, say if The Flash really worked, I reckon a good pairing of him, which would have been him and Shazam.
Ooh, that would have been fantastic.
Because in terms of the tone that they want to go for with Shazam, that's the tone they should have gone for with The Flash, yeah?
I mean, I want to say, and it's going to read exactly like what it is, because DC don't know what they're doing. Back when they were initially announcing shit, just right after Justice League, when they were announcing everything, I can't remember if it was going to be... I don't think it was Flashpoint. I think it was going to be the Cyborg standalone movie. One of them is actually like a buddy film with the Flash and Cyborg.
Okay, why not?
Yeah, I mean, do those characters even talk? Do they have chemistry?
I don't even... You know what? I don't remember anything about Cyborg at all, besides the fact he's there and he's made by a motherboard.
Motherbox, and he wears a hoodie. And his dad is the guy from T2, and that's about it. That's his character.
Okay. I'm so checked out of this. Okay. Well, say in Man of Steel.
Yes.
If they were doing what they were doing, and then we had BVS, yeah, or you know what? Say if you had BVS be Man of Steel 2, but it wasn't BVS. It was a Man of Steel sequel that brought in Bruce Wayne as the antagonist, and it was Christian Bale, and I think there is a way you could have made that work.
Literally kind of like what Civil War does where Iron Man just kind of
Yeah,
comes in.
in a way, but in a more literal sense, because you know, because I know it's called Captain America: Civil War, but you could watch that as either one as the antagonist of the other. You know what I mean?
That thing, you know, it might as well have had a foreign title of Avengers 2.5.
Yeah, they could have called it Marvel's Civil War. They could have literally just called it that.
Which I would have actually
preferred. I mean, I do understand that the whole Cap and Bucky thing makes it a bit lean more towards on Cap's like narrative arc of the 3 trilogy story coming to an end.
It also reads as a pseudo kind of weird prequel on Tony Stark's end to Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Exactly. That's why it's so. But that's the whole thing that, you know, Marvel's just a long running TV show that's on cinema. But if you were going to do this with DC, you know. I reckon there is a film that could have worked that would have been, because obviously they were originally planning to do Man of Steel 2 before they pushed it way back and just did Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
And you know, I think you had a film there where, say, if you hold Superman accountable for what he did in the first film and he's still trying to do his job, and him like not showing up to like be accountable for what he's doing because he's too busy saving other people, kind of angers Batman and makes Batman come out of retirement. Because I mean, did he come out of retirement in BVS? Was he retired?
I mean, they kind of implied that, but then straight afterwards they did Suicide Squad, so I'm just like...
Exactly, it never implied it. It never actually, like... I mean, it might have inferred it, but it never actually said it. And
I mean, they tiptoed around either way. It was very much a kind of, what do you think, audience?
But whereas... like, correct. You know, if they did connect... Sorry, that was just really funny. That is exactly what DC's like. They're like, what do you think, audience? You fill in the gaps, because we can't be arsed. And, but anyway, like, because I think a clever way to springboard this franchise is, say if you had your tight, contained Nolan trilogy, and then you did Man of Steel as the pseudo-relaunch of this whole franchise, like the Iron Man, and then you do that sequel, and you bring in Christian Bale, and you kind of make... Because then people would get it, because Batman left, and he stopped being Batman, and it was done.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
It would be a huge statement for him to come back.
If you watch Dark Knight Rises and then watch Man of Steel, it makes sense. It works.
But also, if you don't watch Dark Knight Rises and then watch Man of Steel and then watch the Man of Steel 2 where he comes back and wants to hold Superman accountable, it would make sense with that character. It would make sense for why he's coming back, because he would only come back if there was a bigger threat than what there was, because he had got rid of the street level threat. That's what Batman is. He's street level. He's nothing more, nothing less. And it would be about Batman then trying to find his place fighting this alien, and then he goes back to, you know, because he's a strategy. Christian Bale is a strategy person. Like, he kind of he has a plan.
He's just a ninja.
He has his gadgets.
Yeah. He's just a ninja with an agenda, really. That's why they always say...
Exactly.
That's why they always say you're just as bad as your villains in that particular franchise.
Yeah, because he has an agenda, and that way, his agenda in that film would be to bring down Superman. And say, like, you know, by the end of it, you know, you could have just made it specific, but you probably didn't even need a villain, because I would have literally treated Bruce Wayne like the antagonist. Yeah. And by the end of it, I would have had, like, you know, he gets the upper hand, but he also chooses not to kill. Yeah, he's also a Batman that, you know, is very traditional. You know, I hurt, I don't kill.
Would this be the same movie with the amazing Martha sequence?
No, fuck that. Oh my god, that was so stupid. That's so Save Martha! Why did you say that name?
Yeah, brilliant.
It's just like, that's so stupid. But I mean, like, because, you know, if he didn't kill, say if Batman did beat Superman in that version of Man of Steel 2, yeah? And Superman's, like, on his knees, and he's, like, weakened by kryptonite, and he's, like, maybe he's got cuts and he's bleeding, and Superman just, you know, holds something to his throat or has something against his forehead, like a kind of type gun thing or whatever, yeah? And then literally just drops it and says, that's the difference between me and you. Because... If you just took Man of Steel the way it was, because he killed Zod.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And it's funny because...
That would have been a really interesting way to define their relationship.
The thing that annoys me so much is that the stakes of that individual scene, I think, works fine. What doesn't work for me is that he doesn't know this family. So, while on one end, you're like, civilians, don't do that. On the other end, you just spent the last 20 minutes throwing him through buildings, mate.
Yeah.
You just killed countless amounts of people. Why do these specific strangers matter more? Always bothered me. I was like, yeah, okay, this works now, not 10 minutes ago. got it. When there were more people. Okay.
It's just like, why do you empathise that an alien has a mother because it's the same name than the actual human goons you've killed in the film?
Oh, I was able to like Batman vs Superman as just a comic book movie. Now you're bringing real logic into it, yeah. Why are you crazy to the people that just have a job, but not to the alien?
Exactly, not to the alien, because, oh, I know why, because he has the same name as your mom. His
I
mom
can
has
promise
the same
you,
name as your
I can
mom.
promise you, Chris Terrio, who actually is a good writer, he wrote Argo, he was going through the Batman and Superman wiki pages just for research, and he came across that, and he thought he was so much smarter than everyone else, was like, I'm going to put this in this movie, no matter how forced it is.
Literally. No, literally. If whether it's the writer thing or a Zack Snyder thing, like, whoever was the Martha's idea, they obviously thought they were 10 times smarter than anyone who saw that scene.
Oh, they found a coincidence. Better force it in the script.
But yeah, but in terms of like going back to my fictional Man of Steel 2, because I'm semi-obsessed with it for some reason, if you ended it that way, and then going forward you left on the terms that they now respected each other and they now understand each other, but still not friends. Yeah, and then you do your other films, like because you have Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, Flash, then Man of Steel 2, which has Batman as the antagonist.
Would you have any of those other characters in that movie at all?
No, not in that one. Okay. I would maybe have a cameo from like Wonder Woman or the Flash, but it would literally be Batman and Superman don't notice them. It would be like say for example, it would be something like.
You know what I'd do?
Superman
actually?
kind of bumps past the Flash or something like that.
I would have it in the Wonder Woman film, or in the first Superman film, or something. I would have had Wonder Woman come across Superman at some point. I don't know what my story would be for those.
I think it's too early. You need to let them stand on their own 2 feet first.
But not in like a big way. But then I'd have one of them consult the other in the Man of Steel 2, but I wouldn't have the other actually have a playing role in the story. Kind of like what?
Oh,
kind of like
you
know
what you could have done. You know what you could have done if you really wanted to do that. You could have easily had a scene where Superman's about to go up and fight Batman, and he's stopped by Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Look, I know who you are. I know who he is. This isn't what you two have to do." And then he maybe a scene like, "How do you know who I am? And tell me who he is." And she's like, "Look, okay, I've been here a lot longer than both of you. Yeah, and I've seen quite a few things, and I can see this going this way. Don't do this." And then she doesn't explain herself at all. And then maybe Superman just kind of because he's in anger or whatever, just kind of like leaves to fight Superman, and then that's all she's in.
Which again, it's kind of what they try to do with Batman and her, and it just falls flat on its face.
But no, because it's more in the sense of she's just there, and then Batman questions why she's there.
But then she even says, like, "You've never met someone like me," and then he finds the picture of her from World War I, and it's just like...
Yeah, but I wouldn't have that with this. I would literally have it be that Wonder Woman literally goes to Superman and is like, "I know who you are, I know what you're going to do, stop it." Like, she's just specifically there to stop a fight, because she knows that he's a god, and this guy is one of the most dangerous guys on the planet.
The big thing I've noticed, and it's very telling, is that you're saying, I'd focus the Batman vs Superman movie, oh, lol, on Batman vs Superman, and there's like no Lex Luthor anywhere in your script, because that would be a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. My film wouldn't be Batman vs Superman. It would be Man of Steel 2 with Batman as the antagonist. Like, literally, I would have more of the film with Superman. Like, I'd keep Batman in the shadows where he belongs.
I mean, you could easily frame him as the bad guy. Well, he's this vigilante guy that just hangs from the ceiling, kills people in this universe anyway.
But no. I wouldn't have him kill anyone. That's because this is the Christian Bale Batman. Because the audience knows him.
He's like a rumor at that point. People don't think he's real.
Exactly, because he's gone. He's been disappeared for ages, yeah? And then say you have him like come back into the fold, yeah? And then if you portray him as the villain, as the antagonist, and then have that big scene where he's about to kill Superman, and then he immediately says, "No, because that's not what I do. You do that. You did that to Zod. I don't do that." And then it completely flips your film on its head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And then after that, I would say do a Wonder Woman 2 where I'd have Batman, not Batman, and be Superman be like a supporting character within her sequel.
Yeah.
And then I would have maybe that lead to them trying to form, and then maybe have a Green Lantern after that, and then have them try to form the Justice League, and have Batman be a very unlikely member of that because of the history and because of they don't like each other, and then they go to him saying, "We need you," and then he's like, "Well, you do actually need me." Because I wouldn't have Batman fully come out of retirement. He'd only come out just to fight Superman.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Just kind of be an intellectual, like passive aggressive guy that's like, "I'm here because I need to be. I actually don't want to be here," which is like he is in the actual Justice League.
Because I think the trick is to Batman. You use him like the Hulk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like in the MCU.
That's the whole thing about his character.
Exactly. Because the thing is, because we had the Dark Knight trilogy, and you leave that where it is because it's in the past, and you had that done, and then you only then use him within the context of the big Justice League films or the big staple films, because then it's a big event to have Batman in the film, and then you're going to make money, and then you're going to put butts in seats, because then it's a retired Batman who only comes out for the big important moments, and then you can, I mean, if you really want to, you can seed Nightwing and have him be the pseudo-Batman film franchise character that kind of, is there, but, Batman only comes out of the shadows in, like, either Man of Steel 2 and Justice League, and then the Justice League sequels.
I mean, you put him as, like, a post-credit scene in one of them, and the internet breaks if you never said anything.
Exactly. And then all you do is you take Suicide Squad, you make that a better film, and you replace all the Batman cameos with Nightwing.
Yeah, that would work fine. That would work great.
That would work absolutely fine. And then as well, because you could have a better thing then, because then if you had your Nightwing films, or you had a spin-off that, say if you did Suicide Squad, and say if you had, I don't know, like Nightwing, and you had him in, I don't know, maybe you had him come into Man of Steel 2 to have a conversation with Batman and be like, hey...
And of course, Nightwing would have, like, Batgirl in it as well.
Exactly, and then maybe you can just have them have a joint film, like them two are the leads, and, and you could have it, like, I don't know, Children of the Bat, or something like, I don't know, like...
Sure, yeah, no, I get what you mean, yeah. Opposed to doing them as two separate films now.
Yeah, you have them like a joint thing. Like basically what everyone kind of wanted with Hawkeye and Black Widow after the first Avengers.
Yeah.
But you know what? Someone I saw online pitched a really cool idea for an espionage type infiltration heist thing with Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Ant-Man.
I mean, one of these things is not like the other, but I could be into that, I guess.
I think espionage and heists are very similar in terms of concept, because you're breaking into one place.
I mean, you have the whole Ant-Man thing of Ant-Man, and then you have, like, Black Widow in the second half of Iron Man 2. It's all the same thing.
Well, yeah, but I mean more so, like, okay, say even if you add the Wasp in it, so say if you had, like, just the double act of the double act, and you pair the men with the men and the women with the women, yeah? So you have Ant-Man and Hawkeye in a sub-team, and you have, like, a Black Widow and the Wasp in another, yeah? And say they're on, like, and say it starts off, like, they're paired, like, Ant-Man and the Wasp and Black Widow and Hawkeye, and they're on two separate missions that overlap, like, Ant-Man and the Wasp are trying to get something from somewhere, and Black Widow and Hawkeye are trying to get information from somewhere.
Well, they have ulterior motives in your head, and they
exactly, they have ulterior motives.
Kind of like how the Defenders kind of works.
Yeah, in a way, but I haven't fully seen the Defenders. I saw one episode because I want to watch Luke Cage before I watch the Defenders. But also I would like it more to be like the first Mission Impossible.
Sure. Yeah. No, I can see that working. Yeah, be very pure that way.
Exactly, like something within that wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And I think you just take that, make it a kind of Marvel action thing as well, and I think you've got yourself a bona fide, interesting, unique, cool thing.
I mean, we're going completely off the topic of DC, but random question at you.
Wow.
Do you think Hawkeye will appear in that Black Widow film they're doing?
There's not much they can do with Hawkeye but put him in other films. Because you know what's really funny? How all of a sudden he's like now a favourite character when everyone kind of didn't give a shit about him in the first film.
Yeah,
and now it's like, where's Hawkeye? He wasn't in Infinity War. I miss Hawkeye.
I was super interested in him after 4 because I think he didn't do anything but left a big impact just on me as an audience because of his objectivity.
Oh, I didn't. I was more interested in him after Avengers 2.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I cared about him in that. I didn't care about him in Avengers 1. In Avengers 2, when you introduced the family and him retiring, that made it cool. Cause his...
Oh, I thought you said you were more interested in him in Thor.
No. What I'm saying is when he was introduced in Thor, I was always like, that's really cool, because this guy doesn't question authority, but he does his own thing. And I'm like, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Avengers 1, I didn't care at all. He was brainwashed for half of it, did whatever. And
but that was brainwashed.
And then in Avengers 2,
for example,
you do the family thing.
Yeah. But the thing is, you could have so easily done that with, say, someone like Cyborg in Justice League.
Oh, yeah.
You could have so easily done that with him, or because you could have made him a military, ex-soldier that was an experiment gone wrong, and now he's kind of against the government in that regard, or I don't know, whatever.
Sure, but I would have done Cyborg like a mistreated weapon, and he's like, I'm a person.
Oh yeah, I would have done him I would have done that like a mix between the Ang Lee Hulk and the Iron Giant.
Yeah, exactly. Where he's like, I am a person, but I'm treated as a weapon. That's what I would have done.
Exactly. I think that would have been really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, in our I guess final 20 minutes of this, do you want to talk about where we think DC are going and where we think they should be going?
I honestly have no clue.
Or do you want to talk more about other DC films we haven't touched on because we've kind of been ignoring the whole DC thing? I
have no clue where they're going at all, and you know what? That's because they don't know where they're going. They'll see what succeeds.
Which direction we are rowing.
They'll see what succeeds, and they'll build off of that, and they'll play it by ear every single time.
Do you think that there's any way in hell that even if they made these next few films hit after hit after hit, they're going to remotely even get to the level of the MCU?
I think.
Or do you think the only way?
I think the damage has already been done. I think it's beyond saving.
But do you think it would be more respectable and more appropriate if they just completely hard reset?
I think the audience actually would accept that. They go, okay, you messed up, but we actively want you to do well, so do that. But I think that
do you think it's too late to do this hard reset?
I think they themselves, not from the audience, but themselves, would feel too much shame in doing it, so they wouldn't want to.
Because personally, I feel like they should have done a hard reset after Suicide Squad, and I know Wonder Woman was good. Okay, I know.
You know what? I could have had it finish at Wonder Woman. I would have been fine with that.
I don't know. Here's either I think either they should have just reset it after BBS or after Suicide Squad, yeah, or do you think that because they're so far in now, I don't think they can definitely hard reset and start again. I mean, look how many films they're in now. They're Man of Steel, BVS,
they're not
Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Justice League, and then they got all these other films ready to go, like Wonder Woman 2, Aquaman.
Yeah, there's
wait, no, you haven't heard my option yet. Because they're so far into all of that, do you think it's beneficial that they should do a soft reboot through Flashpoint and just get rid of all the bad, saying it never happened, say a new universe, but with the characters like Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman and whatever works and whatever they want to keep?
I mean, that's what they're gonna do, so that's all well and good. I don't even think it's too late to just hard reboot, because while yes, they're on film 5, film 6 now, you've got to remember, while this universe started in 2013, yeah, you look at it as films, the universe didn't take off until 2016, and that was only 2 years.
Yeah.
That was only 2 years ago. I think if they did a hard reboot, people would just forget what they've done almost instantly. You've got to remember, the Fox X-Men films have been 20 plus years. That you can't hard reboot. You know, not underdoing the Disney merge, not at least underdoing the Disney merger. That's cool, but if they were just doing it as a movie to movie to movie to movie, they were, you can't really do that after 20 years. With this, it's been 2 years. You can do it, and people just forget it.
I mean, you say that, but that's half the reason why people were rejecting the Amazing Spider-Man franchise.
Yeah, I mean, but also, when it was announced that Spider-Man was going into the Civil War script, how quickly did you just forget Amazing Spider-Man happened, or like the general audience.
Oh, I was ready to forget that anyway. I was never really on board with the Amazing Spider-Man
Well, that's what I'm
franchise.
saying. I think the audience can just drop
I just took it because that's what they gave me, and there was nothing we could do. As soon as I heard it was going to Marvel, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, like it never even existed.
Everything.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it would be the exact same
Yeah,
with
but
the DCEU.
but what would be the DC's version of putting Spider-Man in the MCU? What would be their version of us forgiving all of their sins? Is it just a hard reboot, or is it just a hard, what is it?
I as much as I know I shouldn't be, just because of my own really relaxed and openly relaxed film taste, I am endeared into this universe enough that I'd probably want it to be softly done through Flash. But what I'm saying, I think they could go either or, like business-wise, without any kind of problem. I think me as a viewer, I'd want them to do it in canon, but I feel like there's also so much wrong that if you're trying to keep in canon and you're deleting 8 out of 10 stuff, what's the point in just doing it just to keep like a 2 out of 10, you know?
I mean, in my opinion, and this is never going to happen, but they should go away for a decade.
Wow, okay.
Because, and I'm not saying because they've done wrong, that they're never going to be able to compete with the MCU. Even if they hard reboot, the MCU is so far in now, it's a Goliath and like a boot. Like, the only one you're going to be able to compete with realistically is a Batman, or even like a Supergirl, or a Wonder Woman, like a female-led thing could like really get them some brownie points, or something like that. But even then, they're never going to reach the level that because they want to be like Marvel. They want to make Marvel money. And the best thing to do, and the best thing to do is put more of your efforts into, say, your TV thing, because Marvel's like not really doing well in the TV department. Like, they kind of have failed with most of their TV department, and you're slaying it. You should put more effort into that storytelling. You should put more effort into like all the stuff that is working, and go away from movies for a while. Like, you keep losing money. Like, there was stuff at the Warner Brothers rumors that they were laying off like loads of people with jobs that had nothing to do with the film because the film flopped.
Look, they've gone through 3 heads of DC in a span of about a year and a half, and the big head of Warner Brothers himself, Kevin Tsujihara, has just left over all the DC stuff. It's causing...
Wow, see, that's what I'm saying.
It's causing that much of a mess.
It just needs to go away.
Yeah, it's causing that much of a mess within the studio as a whole when it's just a sub-IP.
Yeah, exactly, and it shouldn't be doing that. Like, okay, here's what should happen. It should go away, yeah? Let all your TV shows run their course, yeah? Because let's face it, TV's a better revenue. Not in terms of money, but in terms of popularity.
In terms of audience goodwill.
Exactly, audience goodwill, and you've got to build from the ground up, because that's what Marvel did, but with films, yeah? And you're never going to do that. And you know what? Eventually, I know Marvel keep talking about their phases and stuff, but eventually, like, within that time span, people will be tired of the MCU.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
It's not going to be that long away. It's going to be within the 5-year span.
I know people who were by Age of Ultron. I am getting there.
No, I know people that are getting... I mean, I do think it wasn't going to go away until at least well after Infinity War, because that would have rocked up. I mean, look, it's made $2 billion.
Yeah. I mean, like,
so obviously people are tired right now.
I have no interest. And again, it's going to sound like a meme because it's me. I have no interest in Ant-Man and the Wasp as a movie, but I'm going to see it.
Well, you know what? And that's really cool, because I am really excited about that. I am really excited about it. And I'm really excited that, going forward, that there's all these projects. But even I know that in the next 5-year bracket, depending on what happens, Marvel could just completely like be not irrelevant, but people just might get bored of their shtick. But you know what? Feige's always been good at predicting when people are getting bored of something and shaking it up completely.
Yeah.
And I like that, because it's all within the same continuity as well. And what I think needs to happen is, like, eventually they'll get to that point where there's loads of these Marvel films, and no matter if they're good or bad, even if they're amazing or shit, people will just be like, okay, there's too many, and I'm kind of a bit, like, tired and checked out.
Yeah, like the Western, like the sci-fi, like the spy film as well.
Kind of, because Feige has already said, yeah, they're going to slow down with the Avengers films aren't going to be the big tentpole things that they are now, and And, that they're planning really radical stuff, and we don't know what it is, but they're planning really radical things at Marvel right now. So they're obviously completely changing their formula again. So maybe they'll slow down because they understand people will want that, and they'll make them things special occasions again.
Yes.
But DC just needs a complete blackness where they black everything out for, about 10 years. Not even 10 years, maybe just a good minimum 6.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like, maybe by, like 2024, yeah, you could even just start with a Justice League film, yeah, if you really wanted to, and then make the solo one, like, make it a Justice League film and make them all, like, disband by the end of it, and then have it be a consequence thing, make it, like, be... like the Marvel reverse thing, because Marvel's been the hopeful, and the DC can, have a hopeful beginning that, because who would expect the Justice League to have an opening film and then they lose at the end of the film?
I mean, that was the plan anyway. Like, before Green Lantern and before the MCU really, really took off, they were going to just do a Justice League film by itself with Armie Hammer as Batman.
Yeah, and I get that, but I mean in terms of, like, narratively and tonally, what if you did a Justice League film and then they lose the fight at the end of the film, and then the rest of the films are solo films dealing with the consequence of that, like kind of what Tony Stark PTSD was Iron Man 3, but in an actual dark DC terms.
And you explore how each of the different characters react to it differently.
Well, yeah, and then because basically you started with, because say if you started a Justice League film like that, and it's like, they're amazing, they're big, they're successful, they're popular, and then they lose, and then, like, a big thing happens, and they all disband, and they have their solo films where they kind of rise up slowly, and then they come back together in a big Justice League film again.
That would be a huge triumphant.
Yeah, exactly, and you know what? It would kind of reminisce. It would kind of reflect what happened to DC, because they were on top of the world, and then they fucked up, and then and then they kind of have to, like, try and fail, and
that's always been the case. I mean, in the 90s they weren't doing well in the comics, let alone the films. DC have always been up and down.
Oh shit, boy, we've got like 10 minutes left,
Yeah, I know. But it's always been the case. I mean, actually, in a perfect world, I think I would actually... I'm getting tired of the shared universe thing. I know it makes money, but I'd say just do a Batman series.
I'm getting tired.
Just do a Superman series.
I'm not getting tired of it. I'm just getting tired of everyone trying to do it rushed and not putting in the work.
You're tired of forced ones.
Yeah, because, name me a good cinematic universe that isn't Marvel and isn't the Conjuring thing.
Oh, I got you. Don't worry. I mean, admittedly, it is in its very early stages, but actually, tell me I'm wrong. Godzilla Kong Skull Island. No, tell me I'm wrong.
It's hard to say.
Because that's good.
It's no, it's hard to say. I don't think you can class that yet, because it's very hard to say what that is yet. It could very easily be completely interesting and connected and great, or it could easily just be coincidence.
I mean, they did connect it through the Monarch thing, but I guess we'll have to wait till Godzilla 2 next year to see where it really goes.
And they've got a better formula for it, because are they Warner Brothers or are they Universal?
Warner Brothers.
Or are they Paramount?
I want to say they're Warner Brothers.
Because, if they are Warner Brothers, because, that is a decent way to do it. Because
I'm going to give it a quick Google.
Yeah, give it a Googs.
Of course.
Because
Legendary. They're by Legendary, which is...
Oh, okay, Legendary.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah. So because they keep trying to force the superhero thing to happen because it's the biggest thing, they're not putting as much emphasis on the drive of this monster franchise, and that's good, because when it comes out, it's a big thing.
Because there's no pressure.
There's barely been a Godzilla.
There's no pressure at all.
The last Godzilla film before the last Godzilla film before Gareth Evans one was what, the 99 one?
I mean, the last American one, yeah.
Yeah. Which is, good. And then there was a good gap between that and Kong Skull Island. And when was the last King Kong? Mid-noughties?
No, 2005. Yeah, Peter Jackson's one.
Yeah, mid-noughties, like I said.
Yeah.
And basically, it just would have, been that. And I mean, you know, the Peter Jackson one was pretty decent, but it just, okay, look, it wouldn't have been part of a franchise. Let's just put it that way. It wouldn't have been part of like a shared cinematic universe, but it would have been pretty decent. Oh, you okay there, Logan? Okay, well, okay. Basically, I'll just end the show right now. Everyone, there was a bit of a technical difficulty, but we're 5 minutes from the end, so. That's pretty much all we got to say about DC. Thank you for listening. I know we didn't stay on topic as much. Our next episode will be a news one. We'll probably, the next time we do a DC tour, I reckon we'll be a lot more hopeful because they'll have better films by then. But yeah, until then, I have been your host, Roman. And the next topical discussion will be our Chicken Little, or as Logan likes to call it, Stuart Little. Because he keeps getting them confused. So, yeah, that's the show. That's it. Do our thing. Do our thing.
3, 2, 1, go fuck yourself!